You're very welcome to the PorterShed for Culture Night and our podcast, Shur, What Do I Know About Art? We're going to introduce ourselves first. This is Elaine Cunningham. Elaine is a puppeteer and contemporary artist who works out of her studio in Clare, Galway. She used to work in healthcare and juggles that with her career as a professional artist. She recently graduated from a degree in contemporary art 4 years ago, I think, Elaine, is it?
It is.
From HU in Galway.
At Castlebar.
Castlebar.
Yeah. So this is Siobhán Moore. Siobhán is a contemporary painter, and her work would be best described as abstracted landscape and seascapes, and the horizon line is something that she's very fascinated with. It stays constant throughout the changes of atmospheres and stuff like that. So her work is quite interesting. And you'd see it all around you here, so have a look. She left her career in healthcare about 3 years ago, and she took the brave step to become a full-time painter, an artist. So well done.
Thank you. Elaine's work also is quite abstract in style, and she's very bright and colourful, and her work is inspired by what she sees down through the microscope in her work as a medical scientist. But it's also very much informed by the landscape around us, and we're always amazed about how the patterns in the body often mimic the patterns in the landscape.
Yeah.
So you'll see a little bit about that later as well.
Okay. So then we met through work.
Yeah.
Actually, scientific work, proper work, years ago.
Paid work.
Paid work, yes. Years
a
ago.
real job, as they say.
And we worked in two different places, and so we kind of met each other through that.
Yeah.
And then after that, we kind of became more friendly when we both realised we were very interested in art and both painted. And so then we moved on and decided to go further with it and do our degrees then. But anyway, so this is the podcast, Shur, What Do I Know About Art? And
so the idea for this came about because we're currently doing a business course in how to run the business side of an art practice, because it's all very well painting in your studio at home, which sounds very glamorous, but the business side is just as important. And as part of that, we were doing customer research, and what struck us a lot was how many people, when we approached people to ask them to do interviews with us about customers and what they want, loads of people said, "Sure, I don't know anything about art." And I was like, "But you do, your walls are full of art at home." And we both found that, and it really surprised us, because art world can be so elite and out of reach for people that they think they don't know anything about art, when in fact, what do you need to know about art to know what you like?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I suppose we were discussing that concept in the business course one day, and there was banter back and forth to us between us about it, and we were saying, why do people think they need to know the ins and outs of art to look at a painting and say, I like that? And then I suppose it went on, and somebody said, that would be a great podcast. So anyway,
and here we are.
Here we are. So
we did take it one step further and invite an audience. So no more good ideas.
Anyway, right, next slide. So that was what we were talking about 2 seconds ago. Keep going. Right. So to start off, we're going to just go through some of the terminology, some art terminology that people mightn't know about. I mean, some of you may be artists here, and maybe you know all of these, and we're boring you. I hope we're not. But this is some of the terminology that people were confused about, maybe when we were chatting to them with our interviews and stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes we would talk about stuff that's known to us, forgetting that not everyone knows the terminology. And there is a little bit of terminology, but it's one of the things that can make it a little bit out of reach for people, is the likes of us talking about it like it's your normal everyday conversation, but it's not rocket science, and it just might need a little bit of understanding. So we've put a few of them up here.
So I suppose the term original, it's obvious, it's an original piece of work, right? There's only one of it, right? It doesn't have to be the Mona Lisa. It doesn't have to be something that's hanging in a museum or something like that. You know, any artist who creates a piece, that's their original, right? Yeah. So then there's fine art prints, which generally tend to be prints made from an original painting. We actually have examples of that over there, Lisa, if you wouldn't. Oh, no,
we
actually, we have
here.
them here. Excuse me. All right. So this is an original piece that I have made. It's an encaustic piece. So what we did is we got a photographer to take a decent photograph of it, and we reproduced giclée prints, right, from it.
So this is a print. So they look very, very similar, and that's because the technology is so good now with both photographing and printing. And what it does, it brings art to a different demographic of people. It means someone who may not be able to afford original can afford the printed version. So a lot of artists would make copies of their originals in a print form.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to the next one up there, which is AP. And AP just means artist proof. So when a printer is printing your
you can see it.
print off your painting, he'll have the original painting there, and he might run a proof and look at it and make sure that the colours match, you know, because sometimes they can play with the colours to make sure that they match the original painting. And then that's labelled as an artist proof. Sometimes the artists just hold on to that, but you may see it from time to time, AP, so at least you know what AP is now.
Yeah, they're not always sold. Sometimes the artists will hang on to themselves, but they're often sold at slightly cheaper price than the editions or the rest of the release, just because they're the first draft as such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have limited edition and open edition. So limited edition just means that if you are doing a print like this one, say, you have to decide how many you're going to run off that, maybe 30, maybe 50, maybe 250.
And it'll be written down here.
Yeah, and it'll be written a number, like say 2 of 30, as that one is over there, or whatever. So you know that once you reach number 30, that's it. There's no more going to be printed of that. So they have an extra value to them. They're limited, you know. It's not like your IKEA print that you're going to see in every house. You know, it is fairly limited. The chances are that you won't meet somebody else who has the same print. And once then it's gone, it's gone.
A bit like Home Store and more.
Yeah.
And then the open edition is when there's just an unlimited number of them printed. So often, for instance, you might buy a poster in a shop. That would be a print of something originally, and just there's no limit on the amount they'll print. They'll just keep printing as long as there's a demand. So they tend to be of lesser value and a little bit cheaper to buy, but makes it more accessible for everyone to have. Exactly. Like the Mona Lisa, there's how many millions of copies of the Mona Lisa around? I mean, who hasn't lived in a student house with the Mona Lisa in the kitchen?
Well, that's true.
You know, there's like, we all have, haven't we? And generally there'll be like the glasses drawn on them after a night out and a moustache and stuff.
Okay, so...
so another term that's used with prints is giclée, and it's like a really fancy French word that it's taken me loads of years to learn how to say, but it's just a fancy French word for inkjet print. Giclée means to spray, and it's just the technology of how that print is made. It's not laser printed, it's inkjet print on paper, but it's usually with very high quality inks on fine art paper. So it just means you know, and you'd often see archival prints and acid-free paper, 2 more terms down here, and it's just the quality of the paper and the acid-free, and it just means they tend to be have longevity. They like last for 200 years without fading in the sun and whatever. So they're all terms you'll see mentioned in prints.
Yeah.
Grounds are another thing that's often called supports. And it's like, you know, you go into a gallery or a catalogue and you'll see such and such a painting, oil on canvas, oil on linen, oil on paper. The paper might be named by the brand, like Fabriano or something, and the grounds are basically what the paint is painted on. But there was often, and it's often in the art world, the snobbery attached to everything. Like often it would have to be canvas or would have to be linen or whatever. But I don't know if anyone saw a painting that was shown at the Ploughing Championships this week. So the Arts Council had a stand at the Ploughing Championships, but they showed an artist who had done a really amazing picture of a cow on a piece of rusty corrugated metal with holes in it that every farmyard has, like out the back in their scrap heap.
I know.
And
it was so appropriate for a picture of a cow to
and
go
it's
on that.
stunning,
It was
and
great,
it's just, you can pick up a piece of driftwood off the beach and paint on it.
Yeah.
So that would be a ground. And it's great to see that now, because it's kind of loosening the elitism in the art world.
Yeah.
And we have media as well, and that's kind of what it's made from: oil, acrylic, which is plastic paint, it's newer than oils, watercolor, gouache. There's all collage.
Yeah.
When you see mixed media, it just means there's a mix. There's all of the above in them as well.
Yeah.
So any questions about media, or they've seen something they don't understand, or
have you come across another term that no? Okay. Right, we'll move on. So in this slide, we're sort of talking about, we were thinking about all the time this term, this sentence that's, sure, what do I know about art? And we're thinking, well, what do you need to know about it? And one of the things we said, well, do you need to know the theory of how to write a book before you can read it? You don't really. You don't think about the sentence structure. Well, maybe you do if you're studying it. But you don't think about the sentence structure that you're reading before you enjoy it. I don't think you do. You just read, you get the content, you connect to it. And then there's wine. There's
wine. It's like, when you're asked what wine do you like, it's perfectly okay to say red.
Or white.
Or you don't have to say, well, I only like grapes from, the southwest of France, or the New World, or whatever. And maybe wine and art, the worlds are a little bit alike in that there can be a little bit of snobbery.
Yeah.
But it's like what we're trying to get across tonight, and what we found in these customer interviews was that you don't need to be intimidated to appreciate it. It's perfectly okay to say, I just like a glass of white wine in the evening.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's perfectly acceptable as well.
And if you're thinking about buying a sofa, you're there and you'll go, sofas cost anything between 500 to 5,000, maybe even more, I don't know. And, what's the life of a sofa? 20 years maybe,
Yeah, and you pick it white because it fits your room, because the colour matches your colour scheme.
Yeah.
If there's a family of 4 and you want to all sit in the sofa watching a movie, it needs to fit 4.
Exactly. And you don't really need to know exactly how it's made. You don't need to know the name of the craftsperson. You don't need to know, if you're that interested, you can find that out. But it's not necessary. You're looking at it, is it the right shape? Does it fit? Is it comfy? Do I like looking at it?
Yeah, like when do you not go into a furniture shop because you don't know about how it's all made?
So you don't feel intimidated going into a furniture shop. So why do we feel intimidated going into an art gallery? That was another thing. Actually, we didn't even say that. That's another thing we came across. A lot of people said that we're very intimidated going into art galleries, the private art galleries.
Yeah, and people who I spoke to people who I know buy art, collect art, spend money on art, and they still feel intimidated by going into galleries. The private galleries particularly, though. The public galleries are slightly different, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. So public galleries, I suppose, like museums or places like that,
like our National Gallery in Dublin, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you can walk in there, you're not going to feel intimidated. It's the art, they're not pushing the art on you either too. It's not for sale. Yeah. So and it's you can go and just appreciate it, and you don't feel kind of intimidated.
And the public ones are often free. Mind you, the private ones are free.
They are free as well, but you're going in there, it kind of reminds me of the time I tried to go into Louis Vuitton on the Champs-Élysées. And I was wearing a pair of old runners, and I had a pair of jeans on, and an old raincoat because it was raining outside. Oh my God. Anyways,
did you go in?
I did. I went in.
To buy anything?
I was going to buy a purse, but I didn't.
Julia Roberts.
Oh my God, it was so embarrassing.
Who's seen Pretty Woman?
Yeah. It's just one of those things. I did feel very intimidated.
And yes, we have to admit we're artists, but the private galleries can be intimidating. But often it's because the door is closed, you might have to ring the bell, but it's one person working there, and they might be on their laptop stuff getting work done as well. But it's like they want to talk to you, so don't be afraid to talk to people in galleries. Like, go in. You don't need to know. You can just go in and say, I'm having a look.
Yeah,
you know?
I know,
yeah, the same as you would with clothes. Like, you can often go into clothes shops and not buy anything and feel perfectly fine. So
yeah, exactly, yeah.
it is okay to go into galleries.
Yeah, it is. Now, but then, like, what are you thinking about when you go into galleries and stuff? Do you need the galleries to tell you, to validate the artist? So this was another thing people came up with, it to say, well, how do I know if it's a good piece of art? How do I know that the artist is good if I don't know anything about art? You know,
What's good art?
so what's good art? Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're looking at, you know, if you go into a gallery, maybe if they're in a gallery, therefore they have passed some sort of test. So they have to be a certain standard and maybe their work is worth it. But if you are, say, for us, selling online or something like that, how would you know? You know, so there's that validation that you get from being chosen by a gallery to be represented by a gallery. But the galleries charge between 50 and 60%
commission
on your work.
Yeah.
So really,
They
all it is, you
yeah.
don't make money. They make money. You don't make money.
They do have a role to play.
Yeah.
And but it's changing because, well, the internet and the way, like, lots and lots of artists are selling directly now because they're selling online.
Yeah.
But it's places like this. It's like the PorterShed. I mean, there's an exhibition here at the moment.
Siobhán's exhibition.
Which happens to be mine, which is a nice coincidence. But they're running an Artist of the Month program, which is amazing because artists get to showcase their work. They get it seen. But the people who work here and pass through here get to see art on the walls every month, and it changes. So it's win-win. And we're seeing that more with cafes as well, and restaurants.
Lots of cafes are putting art on their wall and they're having an Artist of the Month or a 2-week.
So actually, that's a really good point. If you're ever in a cafe or a restaurant that you like the art on the wall, say it to the staff. It may be for sale. It may not. It may be owned by the restaurant. But it's it's good for us.
Yeah.
But it's good for the public, and it brings down the elitism in the art world to just art is for everybody. Yeah. And you hear that, but in practice, it's making sure it actually is.
Yeah, and I mean more and more there's more art fairs and there's more craft sort of fairs, and especially coming up to Christmas there'll be Christmas craft fairs and that sort of thing. So
and arts festivals as well.
The arts festivals are great, yeah. So there is a lot out there that isn't just your gallery setting that's quite intimidating. So so where are we at?
What's in our next slide? Oh yeah, we can't really talk about art without talking about the banana.
But the banana in the room. Yes.
I don't know how many of you know the story of the banana duct taped to the wall. So you haven't heard this story before. So it's in 2019, wasn't it?
It was in 2019. So it's
have it here. Can you see it?
Can you see it? It's a banana duct taped to a wall. It was titled Comedian by Maurizio Catalan, an Italian artist. And Elise Taylor, in an article for Vogue, described the piece as, "The ridiculousness of the whole thing is perhaps what it's all about. There's a reason it's called Comedian. After all, a vaudeville reference to slipping on a peel. The genius of Catalan's banana is that it draws out the mainstream's media's suspicion that all contemporary art is a type of emperor's new clothes foisted on rich people." So yeah, I mean, that's conceptual art. That sort of
he
stuff,
basically got a banana and taped it to a wall, and that was it.
Yeah.
But the whole, how many did he sell?
Yeah, he sold. Okay, so here we go. So the concept,
crazy.
Not the banana, the concept was sold to 3 people for 120,000 each at Basel.
In 2019, right? Oh no, hang on.
It gets better.
It gets better. So 5 years later, my maths is, so November last year, so less than a year ago, it sold for $6.2 million in Sotheby's in New York. But it wasn't the physical banana, because clearly that had gone off. It was a certificate of authenticity for the buyer to enable him to tape a banana to a wall and call it Comedian.
Yeah, I know.
So, and like 6.2 million, Sotheby's made $1 million out of that. That was their commission. So it sold for over 5 million and they get 20%. Like,
yeah.
But it sparked this huge controversy. I mean, I'm in art college at the moment and we spent probably an hour or two talking about this.
Yeah.
So that's the point of art. It's to generate conversation and reaction. It's really not about the banana, but...
Well, I know, that one was more...
Yeah, it's challenging to get your head round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of art nowadays, and people, I don't know how many people have said it to me, look, what's the idea of this? Like, what is this? But it can be very political. A lot of art is made just to get people talking about a particular point. And sure, some of the famous artists do make money from it. You always get somebody who'll fund them or will buy the piece just to say they bought the piece because there's so much furore over it. But,
like the guy who bought spent the 6 million on it was a cryptocurrency trader. So, he had lots of money to spend on a banana. But like political, say Tracy Emin's bed, this piece called My Bed, she made in 1998 and it was shown in the Tate Gallery in London, shortlisted for the Turner Prize. So made lots of impact, lots of kudos. And that was about feminism, shame, womanhood, and like it caused loads of controversy at the time because basically this is your average teenager's bedroom or adult or my bedroom. That's sometimes or
and it was all like
it was in a major gallery in London.
But it was all about at the time the taboo about talking about women's problems and stuff like that. There was menstrual blood and everything on it. It wasn't the most pleasant thing to look on, but it sparked a massive conversation around it. And she became very famous from it.
Yeah, and is still a very big practicing artist.
Yeah, so it is about that type of art isn't something you want in your sitting room. It's not something potentially you'd want to hang on your wall. But it is quite valid.
You could make it yourself, really, couldn't you?
You could just walk into any room in my house. So, but it's all about making a point, and it's there's different layers, I suppose, within art as well.
There
so
is,
you have the art that you want to decorate your house with and look pretty. But it's about making a connection. Even with this stuff, it's still about the reaction you get from a piece of art. You could walk up to a piece like that piece over there. I love that piece over there.
Thank you.
And
it's for sale, by the way.
Thank you. You walk up to that now, and I could be mesmerised by that for ages. I'll see bits and pieces in it that I haven't seen the last time around. And there's something about it that pulls me in. So it's connecting to me in a way that I can't really explain. Yeah. It's funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or you can just say, I like it because I like the colours.
Yeah.
Or I like it because I like how I feel when I look at it.
Yeah.
Or,
so it doesn't help me looking at that painting that I understand the theory of art, that I've done an art degree.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help me. I'm looking at that and I'm kind of going, there's just something. I can't tell you what the something is. And that something is individual to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and like, I'm just looking at Leonardo da Vinci's painting up there behind you, Elaine, you can't see it. Salvator Mundi, Saviour of the World. And we stuck that up there because that's the most expensive painting ever sold in the world. Does anyone have any idea what it sold for? I bet nobody will guess, unless you actually know.
Give a guess.
Give a nod. Like, okay, it sold for $450.3 million in 2017. So it's the most expensive piece of art ever sold in the world. There's 16 artists in the $100 million club in the world that have sold for over that. And like, it's amazing. It's technically like perfect. Like, I think it's known that if somebody says who's the best artist in the world, Leonardo da Vinci is mentioned right up there because technically he was so brilliant. And like, that's money that you can't even get your head around. Like, who has that money? Where does it go? How do you even show it safely without worrying about it? But you don't have to spend $450 million. You can spend €450. You can spend €45 in the market on Saturday and buy an original piece of art and love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a print.
Yeah. So it's not all about investment.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what a lot of the elite galleries are about. They're trying to make the artists out, this is an investment for people, you know, spend a lot of money on art, it'll only appreciate and all the rest. And then people are worried about the artist and have they a good enough name and am I buying a good enough piece? But really and truly, it's about the piece of art. If you love it, you love it. Just buy it.
Yeah, just buy it.
You know, you'd buy a sofa for $5,000 and you'd sit in it for 10 years and you go, I'm fed up with that, throw it away. But you'd have a piece of art on your wall for how many years? Like, you'd probably forever.
Forever.
And every time it kind of catches your eye, you'll go, oh God, I really like that. You know?
Yeah.
So
that's what art does for me as well. Yeah.
It's the feel-good factor.
But yeah, it's just it's to get rid of the kind of snobbery around it and the jargon. And I know when I started college, one of the first articles we were given to read, I literally had the dictionary open reading it. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. What am I doing here? And I was like, I'm a painter and I'm only coming here to kind of just broaden my theory and da-da-da. But I think they did that on purpose to us because they were just saying, this is what it's about. And sometimes you have to learn the lingo to understand it. But we're to say, actually, no, you don't. You just have to look at a piece and know how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, like the wine experts or, you know, the people who write books, you know, that's fine for them to go and learn about it. And if you're interested, learn about it.
And there's an industry built on it.
So you don't need to know to enjoy art. And, you know, we're just trying to say, like, go to art galleries. Don't be afraid. Just go on in and just ask a couple of questions. Or come to
the openings in places like this as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's always wine. Nearly always wine.
Yeah, exactly, So, come to the end of our little scripted chat anyways. So does anybody have any insight, anything they want to ask, or
want to move the
chat or anything?
The slide onto the question slide because it's really important.
Any questions? Any questions? I keep forgetting about the slides.
Has anyone come across that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What is your processes like for creating your art?
You go first.
No, it's not. It's very valid. As regards kind of inspiration and stuff, I find with my art that I'm very much inspired by like what I see every day, and I live beside the coast. I'm really lucky to live beside the coast, and I have a dog, so I'm on the beach every day and stuff. So I find that comes into it. But I would take photographs and stuff, and I'd often start with a reference photo, and then I might just loosely start in that, and then the photo's gone. The painting could be vastly different, but it'll have triggered just it might be just a colour. Like if you kind of be bold enough, I suppose, cheeky enough to take an example of maybe that third painting over there behind it, there's quite a bright green in the top of that. Like on the beach in the summer times, you get this really vivid green, kind of seagrass, seaweed on the stones. And I was like, without realising it, that was coming into the work and stuff. So it's stuff that, for me personally, it's stuff I see every day that ends up coming in. And I'm not a realist painter, so I find it very hard to like paint exactly what I see. So it's kind of abstracted a little. So that would be my process for a lot of work as well. It might start with an image. Sometimes it's a photograph, but usually it's in my head. It mightn't end up like that at all. And in fact, mostly it doesn't.
And my stuff, like my stuff is mostly totally abstract. The very odd time you might see a landscape creeping in there. It's a bit by accident, but so I suppose it's like it's a lot of this sort of stuff, right? Just leave that there. How do I start it? A lot of the times I start by going over an old painting or an old sketch I've done. I love working on top of other work, you know. So
I bet a lot of that's your layering from your work as a scientist looks at layers of cells and stuff, because
it could
you have
be,
a line running through your painting that.
My worst nightmare is looking at white canvas.
Yeah.
Right? So it is my worst nightmare. So I always have to, like, you see me in the studio, and some days all I'm doing is just splashing paint on things, just to make them not white. You know, and it's a giant mess. So at that stage, nobody'd look at my work and say, that one's a painter. No. So it's like something your kids would do at that stage.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kind of work with what's there, but I'm thinking of my inspirations. And as Siobhán says, I take a huge amount of inspiration from what I'm looking at. I work in histology, which is looking down the microscope at human tissue, actually, and I love the shapes. It's all very organic.
Cellular shapes and stuff.
Cellular shapes, very organic, interconnected. There's
Yeah.
very little straight lines and stuff. So you'll often see that. You probably don't see it in these ones. These are encaustics, but in my other work, you'd see shapes running through, and sort of very, very abstract now. But the idea of that is that, you know, you're looking through hidden layers, and the underneath painting always peeps through in spots.
Yeah.
So there could be 10 layers on it. And by the end of it, then it turns into something. I don't work from a visual aid. I can't do that. And if anybody asks me to work to a theme, I'm doomed. I can't do
Don't
that
ever
either.
commission her to a painting.
No. No, I can't.
It's too hard.
I just can't do it. It turns out awful. It's like I get blinkers or something, and I can't.
Loads of artists don't like commissions, you know.
Yeah.
Because they're too constrained. It's very funny, isn't it? You think we all want people to ask us to paint something, but just buy the stuff we've already made. It's very hard to do a commission.
It can be, yeah.
For abstracted artists, I think for more realist artists, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, and like
it's
that,
a funny
I can do
thing
that,
to
but
explain.
It is.
Yeah.
And then if I do something for somebody, and I can paint realistically as well, I just don't do it very often. And I have been commissioned to do things on occasion, portraits and whatever, and to just lack that soul that I find when I just let myself
Now you're getting
go.
into the art speak.
I'm very arty, sorry.
Yeah, we're going to stay away from that.
Okay. But I just find, you know, you're looking at it and going, it's missing something. It's flat. There's something missing out of it. So I prefer to work without sort of themes or stuff like that. Obviously, I'm influenced by things and they're there in the back of my head, but I try not to get
all
too
are though
caught up.
in life, in decisions, and what we read and what we see on TV are influenced by what's around you, because nobody lives in a bubble.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
I wonder if you could both describe one of your favourite pieces and why, what you like so much about
Favorite pieces of ours or of my own?
Wow, that's really hard.
I think I have a favourite piece. I have a piece, it's a big piece. It's nearly a metre by a metre. And again, it's part, the process of it was as I've just described, but I hadn't been painting for a long number of years. When I was in college, I started doing a bit of sculptural work, and then I did a lot of puppetry when I finished college with a theatre group in Athenry. And I just thought, okay, I miss painting, I need to get back into it. And I was finding it difficult to get back into it. And then I had this little inner critic that was here going, it's no good, it's no good. So I just had this giant canvas, and I said, right, I have to do something with it. And it was 10 different things before. And then I thought, right, this is it. I'm going painting this now, and that's the end of that. And I suppose it was the start of me getting back into painting again, really.
Yeah.
And it became this sort of, I used all the things I said before, all the abstract shapes and stuff like that kind of from science and stuff like that. And I just blanked out a lot of the mess that was there, because it was there was an awful lot going on in it. And I made some parts of it really quiet and peaceful, and other parts then had a few lines. You could see the underneath painting, the giant mess coming through in spots. And
Is that the one that was in the Oonagh
Yeah.
Malone? Oh yeah.
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 So I don't have a picture of it, I'm sorry. But I love that piece of paint, that painting, I don't know. And it's because when I had finally come to a stage where I thought, oh, that's done. Oh my God, I love that. I rarely get that. I rarely get that feeling from a painting I've done myself.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's really special, actually, you know. And I just think, I don't care what anybody says about this painting. I love it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
And
wonderful when you get that,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
I have one, and it's from, I'm not sure if it's my favorite of all time, because it's a bit like children. They say you shouldn't have a favorite, you know. It was one. So I'm on the beach every morning because I have a dog, and we're on the beach and we live near. And I was doing a project for college, and I was taking photographs of the same spot every morning for 6 weeks. And I'm always amazed by it's different every single morning, and I never get tired of it. And it's the same view, but it's always different because the light is different, and there's water and there's the burn across the way. A lot of these works were actually inspired by a similar view. So I took a photograph of dawn, and it was April, and the sky was that navy blue just before the light kicks in, and I ended up doing a kind of semi-abstracted painting of the sea and very distant hills in the background, but the lifeguard's hut was red and there was a little tiny pop of red in it. And it was the first one, I think I had started not worrying too much about the photograph and what it should have been, and just, I was painting the feeling of that view every morning that I see every morning, and most of the time I'm still asleep. I don't even really notice it when I think about it. But there was like that, there was loads and loads of layers. I wasn't worried too much about how it was going to end up. And I showed it in an exhibition, and it didn't get a huge amount of attention initially. And then people started noticing whatever. It's since sold, and the guy who bought it said, "Oh, it reminds me of COVID." I was like, why does it remind you of COVID? Like, I don't know if that's a nice thing or not. And he just said, "No, it's like, I know it's an empty beach."
All right.
You know, like, and it's just that kind of the dawn and nobody around. So it was kind of funny. Like, it didn't remind me of COVID. And I think it was after like lockdown and stuff, or maybe coming out of lockdown, when I was lucky enough, I was able to get to the beach every day. So it was funny. Like, he loved it enough to buy it, but yet it reminded him of COVID, but a nice part of COVID for him.
So he
I was like, why would you buy a painting that reminds you of COVID?
Yeah, but you know, parts of COVID were nice, where you go out for a walk if you managed to get to some place like that, and it was empty and it was just lovely.
But it was just one of those ones that, I think it just worked in the end without worrying too much about it for me. And it made me realise that, I need to be more abstracted and less realist, worrying about how it should be. And that feeling of just walking down to the beach every morning, especially at dawn, it's a really, really magical time of the day.
Yeah. Fabulous. Anybody else? All right.
Laura.
So, as abstract artists, how important is it when you title a piece? Do you think that is as an important part of the painting, or?
It's a really good question.
It is a good question.
Yeah.
I think sometimes a title can really help somebody looking at a painting. You know, especially if it's really abstract, you know, it can give you something, well, this is what the artist might have been thinking about when they do it. But I find when I paint, I'm not really thinking about anything. And it's afterwards I tend to title the paintings. It might be something they remind me of. So, because again, I'm allergic to themes and stuff, I can't do that. So, I don't know. For the artist, I don't think titling a painting is hugely important, but I think perhaps for the viewers it might help enormously. You know.
But you know what really annoys me? Untitled.
Oh yeah.
It's just, I think it's lazy.
I do too.
But some artists are like, no, we want the viewer. We don't want to direct the viewer to an emotion or whatever. I'm like, you're just lazy.
But it's start a conversation, and if you don't put the title on it, start a conversation.
But it's funny, I titled a little piece once, Velvet Glow Donegal. It was a little beach scene, surprise, surprise. And everybody asked me which beach in Donegal it was. And I was like, lads. I put a name of a place on it. I could have put Velvet Glow. I was really surprised. People wanted to know what beach it was, without a doubt.
I think people like to have a direction to think about. Sometimes abstract art in particular can be quite confusing for people looking at it. You know, it's a mess of this, that, and the next. It doesn't really resemble anything. They might think they see a face over here, or they might think they see water over there, but they're not sure if that's what it's supposed to be. And I think, you can give a little bit of direction. I think it's sometimes very helpful. But I certainly don't, I don't set out to paint something in particular, because if I did that, it should look like a representative. I wouldn't be able to do it abstract.
I get a lot of titles from song lyrics or poetry that might tie in with it.
So that goes back to your idea of feeling rather than...
I think so, or it's just, you're kind of someone else, there might be a phrase that catches. I might read something and I'll write down a phrase out of it. And I was like, that'd make a really good tile for a painting. And then I'll be painting something and it'll match it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
you'll find something, you'll have a phrase or as you say, a piece of poetry, and you think to yourself, oh yeah, there it is. That's the one. And I particularly like using the Irish language in it as well. I
Yeah.
love Irish. So I like using Irish names and stuff like that as well, you know. So anyway, that's it. Anybody else? Are you doing okay? No?
How do you know when a piece is finished?
Oh my God. How long is a piece of
That's the
string?
question of the century. How long is a piece of string? It's
Sometimes it's really obvious.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's done, and other times it can torment you. You're just like,
Yeah.
I've spent so long on this, but something's not quite right. So for me, sometimes I have to leave it there for ages and just walk past it every day, and then you'll think, oh, it just needs that fixed.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have a deadline. And you're
Yeah.
like, of an exhibition needs to be done today to go to the framers.
Yeah. 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 There's sometimes that is the most difficult thing, I think. Is
I
knowing
think though,
when it's
as
finished.
visual artists, you do kind of know if something's right.
You get a feeling from it, like the feeling I got from that painting I was
Yeah.
talking about earlier on. You know, the minute I had done the last brush stroke on that, I went, oh my God, yeah.
Or
But
do you know what?
that happens so infrequently.
Sometimes what happens is you know it's not right.
Yeah, that's more often.
But then it's often happened where you do one thing and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It was better before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's why I think I had so many paintings there that were just ready for painting over to become something else. An awful lot of paintings that you think to yourself, oh, that's done now, or is it done? I'm not really sure. And it sits there for years and you're looking at it going, no, it's not done. What'll I do now?
I've had paintings where I've turned upside down and they're like, oh, it's way better like this.
Yeah.
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 There's one out there actually in the hall, you know, just
Yeah.
because I'm here and my
Yeah.
paintings are here, which I turned 90 degrees and carried on, and
Yeah.
it just worked.
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to, you can't get precious about it. You can't get precious about, look,
Yeah.
look, that's a beautiful
And do you know what?
section. I can't
It's a
paint
painting.
over that.
You can just
Yeah.
paint over it.
Yeah.
Use the canvas again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
I remember going to a workshop with a really lovely abstract artist that I really admire. And she kept saying, you cannot be concerned about the outcome. You're in the wrong place. Well, in her particular workshop, because she's an abstract artist. If you're concerned about the outcome, you need to be going to someone who's doing portraits or realistic stuff, or, you know, the realism. And like hyperrealism is a thing now,
Yeah.
where there's paintings that look like photographs. And it was a really good lesson for me. It's like, just paint and enjoy the process.
Yeah, it is the paintings I find that are the best are the ones that just happen. The ones
Yeah.
that you're playing around with something and you don't really care about what's going on.
Yeah.
Not that you don't really care, but you're not too concerned about it making it look a certain way, or you're not precious about what you've already painted.
It's
So
more
that
intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just go for it, and all of a sudden something happens, and you go, yeah, there it is.
Like, there is
Okay.
technique involved.
Yeah.
There's definitely technique, and you learn more about colour and what works and what doesn't beside each other. So that does come with practice. You do get better at making choices. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Anything else?
No.
We done? We done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you to Siobhán for making me do this. And thank you to the PorterShed for
Yes,
giving
thank
us
you to the
fabulous
PorterShed.
venue, and to Anthony and whoever else was down there, I can't see, for all their hard work.
And Nigel.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks guys.
All right.
And thanks to Culture Night and all of those good people.
Yeah.
And well done you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Oh, the next slide. Just before you go, there is a QR code here. It's on a couple of forms on the door that City Council and the Arts Council would really appreciate if you scan the QR code and fill in the little survey about feedback for Culture Night. It's just for their figures and that they're doing the right thing and stuff, and feedback for them for other years. If you don't mind, it'd be really good for us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks
a
a
million.
million.